Ahoy there, you bastards. Welcome to Create and Destroy. I'm your host, Dan Donnarumma. This is episode number 5, and son of a bitch bastard, am I super excited about today's episode. My guest for you today is Tyler Kershaw. Tyler is the lead singer for Funeral Advantage. If you've never heard Funeral Advantage before, number one, you need to get on top of that. But Funeral Advantage is a dream pop, guitar pop band. I really love their music. Their music it's dream pop, so it's poppy music. It's catchy. It has a very kind of at times fast melody, but one of the things that totally caught my attention and made me really appreciate and enjoy the music of Funeral Advantage is the lyrics and just the overall atmosphere and vibe of the music. It has a very sad, gloomy, melancholy vibe, and that's something that I definitely connected to upon listening to Funeral Advantage for the first time. Last year, Funeral Advantage released an EP called Please Help Me, and from the day it was released, because I've been waiting for that album to be released, so from that point, pretty much until the end of 2017, I listened to that release pretty much the entirety of 2017. It was one of like 4, 5, 6 albums that I listened to for a very, very extended amount of time. And the lyrics to that EP, the music, just were very impactful for me, something that I connected to immediately, and the music resonated with me very, very heavily. When the EP came out, it was at a time in my life where I was definitely struggling with some mental health stuff, some depression, and that record is a record that totally helped me get through a time that was tough for me. And because of that, I was able to, like I said, connect to that album, and it's an album that is still near and dear to my heart because of that. It helped me get through a time that really sucked and was really tough. During my conversation with Tyler, we talk about how heavy that album is and how difficult it was for Tyler to write that album because of the circumstances surrounding when he was putting the songs together. One of the things that I really enjoyed about my conversation is we got to talking about other albums and other music, and I love nerding out about music with other people. I don't get to do it a ton, so whenever I get to, it always makes me happy because I am such a big music nerd, so that was one part of our conversation that I really enjoyed. Tyler also educated me on the different kinds of close encounters with aliens, which was kind of funny. He also told me that I have the look of someone who would be good at guitar, but I promise you, I really am not. I am mediocre at best. I'm getting there, but slowly but surely, I'm getting there. This was the second interview that I got to do in my time in Boston. So the first interview I did that day was with Jimmy Hewitt of Lost Film, and then I drove from Western Massachusetts to Boston where Tyler lives, and I interviewed him, and it just wound up being such an awesome day. I really enjoyed my conversation with Tyler, and after I sat down with him and I interviewed him, I left, and Danielle was with me, and I was nerding out to her and talking about how excited I was, because that day I got to interview 2 people that whose music I listen to and who I really appreciate what they're doing as artists. And man, this is awesome. This podcast, again, it's just starting out. I'm no one. I have no credibility to these folks, and for them to be willing to sit down with me and to let me pick their brain is awesome, and it makes me super happy. And I think it's really cool that people that I admire and people that inspire me to do cool shit are willing to sit down with me and have a conversation with me. So yeah, this was a good one. Tyler, thanks so much for sitting down with me. I appreciate it. So here's my conversation with Tyler Kershaw. Hope you enjoy it. All right, Tyler, how's it going?
It's going okay. How's it going with you?
Not bad. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and doing this. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, man.
Your cat seems to be enjoying the smell of Danielle.
Yeah, he's very smellful. He smells things a lot. He's very strange. He doesn't normally like. No offense to your wife, he doesn't like women. He doesn't like girls. Normally, he only connects with males. But it's refreshing to see him finally coming out of his shell.
How old is he?
I think he's 6. He's my roommate's cat, but he's our cat since we both live together. But he's really my roommate's cat, so the cat doesn't care for me that much, but he really likes my roommate a lot.
And he's he's a Maine Coon, right? So super furry.
I think he's. I actually looked up, but my roommate told me what he was the other day. It's like a German name. It's not a Maine Coon. He just looks like a Maine Coon. He's technically a long-haired Russian blue, I guess.
Okay.
Which is because I don't know, he's weirdly, those cats are very weirdly bred, and I don't know, he's got a long hair version of him. Nice. It's strange.
So, what was the first instrument that you learned how to play?
Let's see. My brother taught me, because we had a guitar. I asked for a guitar for my for Christmas. I think when it had been 11 or something like that, and I had it, and I didn't know that you had to press down on the actual in between the frets. I thought you had to press down on the actual bar of the fret. So I kept trying to push down them, and it would make this terrible noise, a really weird sort of twangy noise. And it was my brother who showed me that you had to actually press down in the middle of the frets to play the guitar. And so he basically, without ever learning to play an instrument ever, he kind of taught me how to play guitar. And that I just learned by just listening to things, and just I guess I have a good ear to be able to learn things just by ear, but I've never taken a lesson or anything like that. I just was able to play. I guess not play but well or anything. I still can't play well. I'm still pretty bad at guitar, but that was the first instrument I tried for and ended up becoming somewhat proficient at.
It's funny that you say that, because I read an interview of yours, and you had mentioned that you felt that your songs with Funeral Advantage are not very difficult songs.
No, they're not.
Which I would have assumed that they would be.
Why is that? I
don't know. I guess just because of the sound, and I don't know if it's because there's multiple layers to the songs. I
think that can fool people into thinking that there's a hard guitar part happening. When I would teach my band members how to play the songs, and really that's it. That's all I have to do the entire song. We'll leave out entire songs from our set list because of our guitarist being bored of playing. I'm bored. I don't want to play that song. I don't do anything during the song, so we're not playing that song anymore. One of my favorite songs, actually, "Wedding," was one of my favorite songs to play ever. It was it's the simplest song ever to play. If you're ever teaching someone how to play guitar, if you teach them to play that song, they'll feel like they're playing a hard song, or whatever, but they're really not. It's a very simple song. And my guitarist for a little bit was refusing to. I was like, we're playing Wedding today. He's like, no, I'm not playing Wedding, because I do nothing in that song. I just sit there and play the same thing over and over again. But it's not really difficult stuff, really.
Is it power chords, or not even power chords?
No, it's not even power chords. It's just it's I don't know how to explain it, because it's funny. I was talking with this guy at work the other day. He was talking to me about perfect fifths and jazz chords and stuff like that. And he's like, you ever and he was asking me questions that I didn't even know where to begin, how to answer them, because I don't know what a jazz chord is. I don't know what a perfect fifth is. I don't know. I know what a power chord is because I listen to Blink-182 and stuff like that, so I know what power chords are. And I know that was the first thing I ever learned, but I never was really good at learning the names of stuff. But they're just normal chords, I guess. But it's sort of I have a different way of looking at it. Since I'm not classically trained or anything like that, I think that that lends itself to at least interesting song making, a beginner's luck kind of thing. But it's more just chords and just really simple anyone can play it type of stuff, and it coming together like that.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I'm kind of the same way with pretty much all of my hobbies, whether it's video games, photography. I kind of just do things and figure them out and don't really know like the technical names of stuff. And then I'll be speaking with someone like, oh yeah, this is this. Like I have no damn clue. Yeah.
Do you play instruments?
I do. I play guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm not that good at it, but I do try to play guitar.
You look like you're good at guitar. If I'm looking at you, you look like you're good at guitar. Maybe that goes a long way in you playing guitar.
Hopefully, at least apparently I got the look down. So that's at least one thing out of the way.
You look like it.
Now, how old were you when you started to play?
So when I started like seriously playing, I think it was for my 11th Christmas, I got that guitar, and I didn't really start actually playing it till like 2 years later. And so like I was like maybe 13 or whatever when I started like playing like guitar, and I saw this BC Rich Warlock in a guitar shop down the street from my house. Yes, that
guitar looks so awesome.
I still have it too. It's in my parents' attic. I still do have it, and it's like a wildly metal guitar. So I started learning like a lot of like metal songs. I would just like play along to like metal all the time in my room. I would listen to I'd listen to like black metal songs, just like because they're really black metal's like really simple to play, because I think they're like kind of like the same way that I do it. Like they didn't have any like training or whatever like that. They just kind of like played what was in their hearts, like started playing like stuff that they were feeling. So that lent itself to really simple songwriting. So I would like play along to like Mayhem songs and stuff like that. And like there's like this one Gorgoroth album. It's like really easy. It's just in drop D. The entire album is just like it revolves around just like 3 frets of the guitar. The entire album. So I just like learned those songs and like wish I was better. But that was like around like I think maybe like 13 or 14 that I would start doing. Maybe 15 actually with the black metal stuff. But I remember learning Gorgoroth songs on my BC Rich Warlock when I was like 14 and thinking like, yeah, I want to be in a band now. And I want to like start actually like learning music. But I was too like shy to take lessons, I think. I was too shy to like want to be alone in a room with someone like teaching me guitar. That seemed really, I got really anxious thinking about that, I think. So I never wanted to take a lesson. So it's hard to say when I started. I guess technically I would start when I was like 12 or so, but I didn't really start like getting like really interested in it until I was like 14 or 15.
And I read that you consider yourself first and foremost to be a drummer. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was actually talking about this with the same coworker that was talking to me about jazz chords the other day. Because like drums are objectively the funnest instrument. Like you look at a drummer, he's always having like the best time, and like it's wicked fun to play. You're using your entire body to play the instrument, so it's like really fun and a very satisfying instrument. So I'm having trouble seeing whether or not it's like my favorite instrument or the instrument that I'm best at or the instrument that I identify first and foremost with, because it's so fun. Maybe that's like, I don't know, maybe someone would think that I'm like better at singing or something. Someone would think that I'm better at like objectively better at like playing guitar or bass or something like that. But when in my heart, I always feel like I'm a drummer, and I feel like when I listen to a song, I analyze the drums and I analyze the drum beat first and the rhythm of a song first and foremost. So yeah, I guess that is true. Yes, I guess the short way of answering that is yes. I'm more of I consider myself a drummer as what I like to play the most.
And that didn't surprise me when I read that, because one of the aspects of Funeral Advantage that I really enjoy is the drumming. I feel like the drumming on the music that you've released is pretty awesome.
Thank you.
How important to you when you're recording your music and when you're writing your music is it that you let your abilities as a drummer come through in the music that you're creating?
It's important that my kind of like chops come through. It's important that I guess it's important to me that, well, not so much important. It's more just like that I would like to my writing style when I think of a song. Like I was just saying, like I analyze the drums of a song when I listen to it first and foremost. So it's kind of important to me to kind of let myself freely shine in that aspect. I like to make sure that the drums sparkle, so to speak, in a song. I don't want to just have like a straightforward. Some songs lend itself to like a straightforward, like 4 to the floor beat, just like 1, 2, 3, 4. But like other songs, just like a weird time signature that I think it would serve the rest of the song better. And yeah, no, I think that I want it to shine through that I'm a drummer on all the songs, but I would like sometimes being a good drummer sometimes means knowing when not to play and when not to shine, kind of like knowing what strengths that song needs to shine through.
Yeah, So like when you're writing stuff, how do you determine, do I really kind of go crazy here with the drums or scale it back?
It's weird because if the guitars are doing something, when you're doing something crazy on the drums, like my music isn't like technically very, like I was saying, it wasn't very hard to play. It's not very hard to play, and it's not very hard to listen to or hard to analyze really. But knowing when to go crazy on drums or go crazy on a certain guitar part, you have to kind of, it's all relative to the rest of the song. It's relative to, is the bass doing something insane here? Is the guitar doing something crazy here? Do I want a certain effect to be heard more or be frontmost in the mix? Do I want that to be overshadowed by the drums? So like if the guitar is doing something crazy, I don't want to like go crazy on drums at the same time. I kind of want to pare back and kind of let the drums and the bass kind of groove together while the guitar is playing out, or replace guitar with bass. Like you can just kind of like, if the bass is playing out, kind of have simplicity on guitar and maybe like go medium on drums or something like that. It's all about balance, I think.
So it's kind of like feeling it out and seeing what works best with the song.
Yeah. And my writing style is weird. My writing style is sort of like I either come up with, like when I'm first starting to write a song, like I either come up with just like a melody in my head, or I'll just like loop something on my loop pedal on guitar, and I'll think of drums later. Like normally normally when I hear about people like writing songs, it's normally like the drums and the bass are normally first, or at least they're thought of in the beginning process of writing a song. Whereas like I think drums to me, like it's sort of more of an afterthought, but it's also like I sort of go back, like after I've written like the first melodic part, I'll go back and write the drums, and maybe I'll write something crazier on drums and then go back and rewrite the melodic part, just kind of like, but it's never the first thing with me. I never think of a drum beat first and foremost, like some people might, which is kind of strange to me.
And you played in Bear Trap. Did you drum in Bear Trap?
I played drums in Bear Trap, yes.
Which when I read that, I was so surprised by, because it's such a different sounding band from Funeral Advantage.
Absolutely.
Just like straight up power violence.
Yeah.
And when I saw that you drummed it, I was like, whoa, that's kind of surprising. But
the inspiration for Funeral Advantage actually came from Micah Satley from Bear Trap. He was the one that inspired me. Like he's like, I mean, we've had our ups and downs in our relationship. He and I, he's an artist first, and like he's an artist through and through. He's like one of my most respected people in artistry. I think he's like incredible. He's like a musical genius. He can do anything. But like a lot of people don't know, he doesn't really advertise as much as I do, that he's like the me of Bear Trap. He plays all the instruments on the records, and he writes everything and curates everything to a T. It's very calculated and he's very specific to his vision, and like that inspired me so much to, like, I was on tour with them when I like came up with the idea for Funeral Advantage. Actually, I saw what he was doing with his band, and I saw like how much pride he took in it and how much effort like he put into like, no, like this drum part has to sound like this has to like, you're kind of like playing a little too like groovy here. You need to like go like, it's more straightforward, forward to the floor, fast violence, like you have to, the way he kind of conducts himself and produces his own band and manages his own band was like a huge inspiration to me. And we haven't spoken in a few years, he and I, but I'll always respect him for that. He's a big influence on me. But it is kind of weird how it's like not the same kind of music. It's weird how that sort of influences my style of band, when if you put the two music together, if you put the two bands together, you would not know in a million years that maybe I played drums for them, or that we know each other even.
Yeah, I think if I hadn't read that, if someone asked me, all right, if you had to guess what kind of music he played before Funeral Advantage, I probably would have said something indie or something not as aggressive.
Yeah, no, this is the first, I'm doing air quotes right now, soft band I've ever, well, not first soft band, one of the first soft bands I've ever been. I was in a band with, the Funeral Advantage kind of came about out of necessity, because I was in a hardcore band right before Bear Trap, actually, and I was also in like an indie band with John from Soft Fangs. You ever hear of Soft Fangs?
No.
So he's like a really big band here. He's like kind of like, it's weird how everyone kind of, I didn't realize, I told you now, everyone kind of shoots off after like being in bands in college and high school. Like everyone like wants to collaborate with people, but then like once after college, you realize how lonely you are and you want to like just kind of go off and do your own thing. So I went off and did that it was 1 week where I was in both those bands. Once the first band was called The Devil and a Penny. That was like the indie band that I was in. Then I was in another band called Long Shot, which is like a hardcore band from southeastern Mass. And that week, it was like 1 week in like 2013 or something like that. I had gotten kicked out of the Devil in a Penny because I was like going through some like weird relationship stuff. And I was like really depressed or whatever. And I wasn't taking the band seriously for like a couple of months because like I just was like depressed and didn't want to do that. And I was also in Longshot at the same time. So they thought I was giving more attention to Longshot, which I was. And they kicked me out. And I was like, whatever, you can kick me out. Like I still have Longshot. It's not a big deal. And 3 days later, Longshot broke up. Our singer quit.
Oh,
and
God.
he took like 3 of the band members with him for his new band who's and they're not even in that band anymore. So that band broke up. So I was just left with nothing that 1 week. I was left with like zero bands to play. And so I was like, I don't want to run the risk of like getting kicked out or having a band break up anymore. So how do I have control over that? I just make my own thing and try to do it myself. And whoever can come along and help me, that's great. But if I'm not really like chained down to anything, I wasn't. But I feel like my current band situation, if this in its current iteration, I feel like my current band is like as close to a band as you'll ever get, I think, with Funeral Advantage.
Which I respect that you do everything to yourself and you create everything yourself. And that's how I would probably want to do things as well. I feel like it'd be difficult to play with others, especially if you have a specific sound in mind that you want to create, and then having to work with others and at times compromise.
For sure, yeah. It's like a personality thing. Like if you and I are both lone rangers, so to speak, in that term, I guess. But yeah, it's weird how I didn't really think about it until this moment. But like, there's like a weird correlation between maybe getting older and wanting to be alone and wanting to do things your own way, as opposed to like collaborating. So I've tried to collaborate with people, and it's really hard to find anyone that like has the same vision as you. And that's kind of selfish to think about, not to be able to want to give into someone else's vision as well. Because I mean, their visions are valid as well. But I think that, I don't know, it's strange to think about. It's strange to think about how as you get older, you want to be more alone. You want to be more, you want to do things your own way.
That's me to a T, man. Yeah. That's basically how I am at this point. I'm 32.
32? You don't look 32?
I get that a lot, yeah, so thank you.
What do you get normally?
I get people thinking that I'm just out of college.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah. Now, so when I first heard Funeral Advantage on the Bridge 9 message boards, so there was a shoegaze, like dream pop thread on there, and someone posted a video for Garden Song, and I remember I instantly hooked.
That was probably me. I think that it was me that posted it.
It very well could have, yeah. And I remember I Googled Funeral Advantage, and I found all these links to like Funeral Advantage programs. Like, what the hell is this? I had no clue that these were even like a thing.
Yeah, neither did I.
Yeah. How did you come up with the name Funeral Advantage?
So I had, I feel like we're beating them on Google now, though. If you Google our name now, I think we come up first.
Yeah.
But back on the days of the posting in the B9, I feel like maybe that we didn't have such a presence on Google, and maybe that would lend itself to it. I think it's like funeral insurance, like actual like insurance.
Yeah, it's insurance.
We haven't gotten like a cease and desist or whatever from them, thank God. But I think that subconsciously, there's a story behind it, but I think subconsciously there's also another part of it, which I'll tell you first. I think that maybe I saw, because sometimes you'll see like commercials for Funeral Advantage and stuff like that. And maybe I think I might have seen that, not really thought of it at the time as a good band name. I might have seen that and then filed it away somewhere in the back of my brain. And like one day I thought that like it's like Inception almost. I just thought like I had the idea by myself. I was like, oh yeah, Funeral Advantage is like a kind of a cool sounding name. And I ran it by my friend Freddie, and he said that it was a great band name. He was like, that's the best band name for what you're trying to do. Like, you should definitely like name your band that. But the story behind it, the actual story behind it, because I had been talking to Freddie about that for a little bit, and then I was dating someone that managed a clothing store, and one of her coworkers came in one day, or she didn't come in one day. It was a no call, no show, and she was like, well, my then partner was like, oh, this girl's fired. Like, she's not going to work here anymore. She comes in the next day. It's like, I'm so sorry, I did a no call, no show yesterday. My mother has been sick for a while, and she actually ended up passing yesterday. So I had to we were like overrun with grief in the family. Like, we're still like kind of working through it. It's been a long time coming. She had this like big story about like her mother like passing away and stuff like that. And it was like a really heart-wrenching story to hear from my partner's point of view. And she's like, okay, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, she like sort of like apologized to the girl who did a no call, no show. I was like, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. You're welcome to take as much time off as you want. Just make sure to come back. You kind of know where the story's going. I can tell by your face, you know where the story's going. So then a couple days later, someone comes in to drop off lunch for the girl that had called out. And she's not there. She's out like smoking a cigarette or maybe like had already gone out for lunch or something like that. And my partner's like, oh, can I tell, I'll tell her that you came by. Can I tell her who came by? Oh, it's just tell her that her mother came by to say hi and to drop off lunch for her.
I knew it.
And I thought, yeah, it's you kind of know the end of the story before I even started the beginning of it. But I always thought I took that story and I thought like I wasn't surprised when I heard that, like, cause you even yourself, you heard me telling that story and you knew where it was going. Cause you kind of know that humans to kind of go forward in life and to kind of get their own way will at times like take even like the most serious matter like death or like a death in the family, and they'll lie about it and kind of like take advantage of that situation in order to take advantage of other people's kindness and willingness to work with them in that situation, exploit it or take advantage of that. And so I always thought about that when I was because the main hypothesis or main bullet point of this band was always to kind of, it used to be that I was kind of fed up with humanity and I wanted to show that the darkest parts of humanity in my songs. I wanted to kind of I don't know, show that people were wrong and people were bad, and that was the main goal going into the first demo. But I've since since evolved from that. But the name kind of just stuck, and I decided to go with it from there. And I think that it's still a good name today. I stand by my band name.
It's a good name for sure.
I was, yeah. That's all I have to say.
And so, in preparing for this interview, one of the things that I was very surprised to see in reviews of your music and in interviews, people talking about your music as being uplifting or upbeat. And I guess stylistically, as far as the music goes, yeah, it's kind of like, pop, shoegaze, right? Yeah. So it has
that melodic sense to it.
But one of the things that especially drew me to your music is that I've always felt a gloomy and melancholy vibe to the lyrics and just the music in general. And I guess that was kind of surprising to me that maybe other people didn't see that with your music. I guess, so I think you already answered this question, but is that kind of the route that you wanted to take with Funeral Advantage?
It wasn't the intended route, no, because I would always listen to, you ever hear of Tiny Tim? The ukulele player.
Yep.
So it's weird when I did a project on Tiny Tim when I was in high school. When I was like a sophomore in high school, I did a project on Tiny Tim, and my main takeaway from listening to Tiny Tim's music was that even without seeing him and without knowing, like I read a lot about his life and stuff like that. And actually, he's the last song on my last EP, Please Help Me, is actually named after the place where he's interred, the Lakewood Mausoleum. That's where he is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where he is. Is it interred? Is interred the word?
I'm not even sure. Yeah.
But, no, he's like not buried there. He was cremated and he lives there now. He like is cremated there. His ashes are there. And that was the inspiration for that. But I would always read about his life and how like he had like a really tough life and sort of he like just wanted to kind of, I don't know, he was a very melancholy person. He had to kind of make this like goofy, I mean, you ever meet like someone funny and you immediately think like, oh, what happened to them in their life? Like,
oh, absolutely,
funny, yeah. Like I'm like some kind of trauma. Gee, there's a fucking rev stasis happening right now. Give me a second. There's a loud ass motorcycle. There's this sort of a melancholy behind him, and like so what I was saying, like there's like if you meet like a funny person, I'm often like, what happened to this person? Because like there's always some kind of trauma behind being like a legitimately, genuinely funny person. There's always like something terrible that happened in their lives to make them that way.
Yeah, I feel like I've read a lot of comedians talk about that, right? Yeah. Being like that their comedy was a way for them to escape just the shit that they had to deal with growing up.
Yeah, like I had a pretty terrible childhood growing up, like with like home stuff and also like between like going to school and like just like looking the way that I did and being like the outcast. Like I told you, I think I listened to like black metal in high school. Like no one listens to that shit back then. Like back in, I'm 28, so like this is like 2006 that I'm listening to black metal. No one gave a shit. Like it wasn't cool like it is now to listen to black metal. Like I was listening, and like before that I was like listening to Slipknot and stuff like that. And I don't know, I smoked weed like from like a really young age. I would like smoke a lot, and so like there was trauma growing up. Like I had like a pretty tough time like relating to people and relating to my peers and stuff like that. I didn't have like a lot of friends growing up. Yeah, like there was like a trauma growing up. But I would read a lot about Tiny Tim and his traumas growing up, and like even like into adulthood, he had like really like he had a pretty tough time with like people like understanding his art and understanding his art and arc, I suppose. And he had like a lot of downfalls, a lot of like jealousy points where like he saw like his people like his heroes surpassing him, and like he wanted to be more like more pop sensible. And I always found that to be interesting because I always sensed that in his music, even though like his music didn't really like come forward and say that. Like his like Tiptoe Through the Tulips, like he did all these like weird like fancy very happy-go-lucky covers and stuff like that on ukulele. And if you look at him, like he looks like a very terrifyingly sad person. He's also kind of like scary looking. Grew up not like the best looking guy, and I sort of like related to that. But I'm kind of going off on a Tiny Tim rant right now, but that's I feel like I'm getting to my point. But I always found this melancholy in his music, and I wanted to kind of I didn't, maybe not consciously want to convey that through my music, but I always liked pop music that like had like a very melodic sense, but it was also sounded a lot of songs that sound really happy that to some people sound like very sad, like Fix You by Coldplay was always like the saddest song to me. I guess it's a great song. It's like it's not like seen as a happy song really even, but like I don't think a lot of people see it as sad as I see it. And I kind of look at music that way. I kind of look at music and I see like the saddest parts of it. So when people say to me like, oh, your music's very uplifting, but your lyrics are really sad, I'm always confused by that. I'm always like, no, like I don't find it to be that way. I find both parts of it to be equally sad. And like even like the Cure's probably my favorite band of all time. They have like even their happier stuff is like wrought with sadness for me. Like the song Mint Car is just by the Cure is like their happiest song ever. But it's like in my opinion, that's a song about, someone might fight me on this. I've got a lot of friends that are Cure fans, and we've had arguments about this. But they don't. I think that song's about masturbation, about being alone and masturbating. And he's come out and said it's about something. Robert Smith's come out and said it's about something else. But I have like a strong theory to say that's about masturbation, and that like what's sadder than like being alone and masturbating? You know, like what's sadder than that? So, getting back to my point, I feel like I'm always confused whenever someone's like, your music is so happy, and I'm like, but your lyrics are so sad. I'm like, no, I feel like they're both equally as sad. I don't go out to make it that way, but I feel like even now, like I'm just finishing my second full length record right now, and it's like coming across as happy. And I think I might have reacted to that. I might have reacted to people saying that, and I think I kind of like made the lyrics a little happier, not by choice, but maybe just not by design, but by just the way they came out. They came out happier, I think, on this next album.
Yeah, you know, as I was mentioning before, right? Your music has its dream pop, and it's got verse, chorus, verse, that kind of style as far as music goes. But when I listen to your music, it definitely it hit me. It hits me at times with how heavy the lyrics are. Yeah. There are times where I do want to grab Danielle and cut a rug with her, but then I'm just like, oh, this music, it fucks with me.
Yeah, no, and I think that could be the part where like maybe we're not, in my opinion, I mean we're not getting enough. No, not enough. Sorry, I'm trying to word this correctly. We don't speak to as many people as I'd like to speak to, and I think that could be a part of it. Maybe just like you have that tearing inside of you that's like, oh, I want to dance this, but I'm also really sad, and I don't really know what to think about it. But I mean, that's just art, you know. That's art, baby. You know, I don't know. It's kind of like it's just what comes out of me. So I can't. I've never consciously tried to like decide to like make something like more dancey or more relatable or something like that. It's just kind of what I feel, and that could be the downfall of one of the downfalls of being in this band, being attached to this band. It's just like you're not gonna speak to as many people as you'd like. It's more of a niche thing. Like you yourself, like you reached out to us, and it's sort of like it's a niche market that we're into. I think it's a niche fan base that we've gathered. It's a cult following, but it's we have the best fans on earth, in my opinion.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Did I read that you have a pretty decent fan base in Japan?
Japan and the Philippines, and it's like it's weird. It's kind of shifting over to the Philippines now. Like if like I get like tons of like a bunch of followers a week and a bunch of Facebook messages a week from Filipino fans, just like, hey, like just heard your stuff on like Spotify and like wanted to reach out and just tell you how much it means to me. I'm like where are you finding our music? Like where, like how is, like the B9 board was like the main like first part of like, hey, I saw your stuff on B9.
Goddamn B9 board.
It's well, boards like, but I feel like it's from that it made sense to me that like, oh yeah, these people, hardcore fans, like hardcore fans would come to our shows and be like, yeah, saw you on the B9 board. None of my friends are into this, but I'm super into it, and I just wanted to say like that's how I found you. But like when people from like, and Japan made sense to me. Like we had like a huge surge in Japan when we signed a deal with it's a Japanese record label called Miles Apart Records. From I think they're in Tokyo. I can't remember though. I haven't spoken to the guy in a little bit, but he reached out to do a record, and then we like got distroed there, and it just became huge. Like bunch of Japanese followers, like we like, and a bunch of fans from Japan be like, you gotta come to Japan. I'm like, I'll get when we can. Like that's the first place I want to tour. Everyone's like, come to Europe. I'm like, no, I want to go to Japan first. I really want to do Japan. But I understood Japan. I understood us getting fans in like England and Japan and the US, obviously because of B9. But and then like Philippines is interesting to me because it seems to be getting like more and more like, hey, like we're getting like offers from like the Philippines, like come there and like do a tour. It hasn't made sense to do yet, like money wise and also like just like travel wise. We can't make it happen yet. But there's been like, I don't know, it's crazy. I mean, we have like a huge following there, and I love it. It's fantastic. They're like the best fans ever, like the best people to like talk to. They really get it. They really get it over there. And I'm not sure if it's like, maybe that's gonna happen in the US sometime. Maybe they'll really get it here soon, like they have in the Philippines. But like, it's strange to me that like it's like waves of shit happening. Like I feel like being from Boston is like is a tough time because there's definitely waves of like 2013 was like a huge year. I don't know if Jimmy talked about that. You told me that you interviewed Jimmy from Lost Film.
Yeah.
I don't know if he spoke about this at all, and I've never spoken with him at length about it, but we both kind of mentioned to each other shows like, yeah, like it was a lot easier playing dreampop shows in Boston in 2013, 2014 because like people would come out and people were really into them. Like when the demo came out and when like Body's Dead came out, it was fucking crazy. Like it like kind of just snapped with people. And then like it's not cool to play our kind of music anymore. It might be cool. It's like really cool in New York. Like our New York fans like are great. Like people come out in New York, but in Boston, like we're getting like we have like a steady fan base in Boston, but it's like not getting any crazier. It kind of like plateaus at a point. It's like the hardest place to have a fan base in, but like if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So like we're relatively making it, but it's also like really discouraging to play shows in Boston sometimes.
Well, it's funny you say that. I feel like 2013, maybe even a little bit before then, right? There was kind of that explosion of like shoegaze and like
Capture Tracks bands, like Wild Nothing and Beach Fossils first coming out and like all releasing what seemed to be the same record, but I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Like, it was all, those are still today my favorite, one of my favorite bands of all time is Wild Nothing. Like they inspired this band so much. Like he does everything himself. Same with Dustin from Beach Fossils and John from Heavily Beat, Justin from Craft Spells, like all those like immediate Capture Tracks bands, like Mike Sniper from Capture Tracks just like released, not the same band, but they were all different bands. They were all like literally just one guy doing shit, like one guy doing bedroom pop, and that's like what inspired me to do it. And then like he didn't. I feel like Mike from Capture Tracks didn't want to like keep releasing the same record, which is fine. Like you're supposed to evolve with music, but then like where does that leave? It's selfishly to ask, like, where does that leave people like me, like that are making the same fucking record over and over again? You know, I wanna be. It was always my dream to be signed by Capture Tracks and to be like recognized by them. And like nowadays, like it's my focuses lie elsewhere because like they've evolved and started. They still release fucking amazing records, like the Perfect Pussy record, and like Mac DeMarco is obviously like the biggest celebrity on the face of the earth right now. Like they have to kind of feed into that, but also they don't want to release another. They already have a Mac DeMarco. They already have a Wild Nothing. They already have a Beach Fossils. They don't need bands like us anymore. So it's more up to like labels like Disposable America and Native Sound to like release things that like they grew up on, like Funeral Advantage and Lost Film, and I don't know. Like it's more up to record labels that are up and coming than wanting to like reach out to the classics. I'm putting air quotes, like the classics, like Capture Tracks and like some Matador was releasing dream pop for a little bit. They still are, but I mean, like, just fluffy dream pop, the kind that I make, the kind that Wild Muffin used to make. But
if it's any consolation, we played some Funeral Advantage songs at our wedding.
Did you?
And yeah, we did. And several of my friends never heard Funeral Advantage before, loved it, and went out and bought records. And one of them, when she found out that I was going to be sitting down with you and interviewing you, texted me immediately and was so excited about that.
Oh yeah, that's very nice.
That's nice. So at least you get that consolation.
Yeah, that's so nice. And I'm not trying to like say that I'm down, and like I'm so grateful for like everything that's happened. I'm so grateful for like any fan base that I have, even if like one person, even just you and your wife playing at your wedding, that's enough to last me a lifetime of like that's such an honor to be played at your wedding. Like that's insane to me, and like that's enough to I'm gonna coast on that for the rest of my life. Like I could hang up the like some people are like I've heard a lot about that. I've heard like a couple people like saying like I played you guys at my wedding, or like me and my girlfriend had sex for the first time in your music. I've heard that a couple times, and I'm like, that's fucking incredible. And like my one of my best friends, like growing up, he and his wife got married, and he's like, hey, like, do you want to like your music has meant so much to us. Like when we first started dating, like we would listen to you guys all the time. Like it's meant so much to us. Do you want to like come by and like help us curate the playlist for our wedding? Like, and that was like such an honor to me. Like I was like,
that's awesome. Yeah,
like,
dude.
I got
that's
to,
like,
so
awesome.
Do their playlist, and I actually DJ'd their wedding for a little bit. Like I got to,
that's
like,
so cool.
There's a lot of pictures of me like red faced and just sweaty and drunk at their wedding. It was the best time ever. But it's like those things keep me going. Like if someone like messages me like saying like, hey, this like helped me, or this like. That we have a couple fans from like Europe that like we have like a rapport with. We like message all the time on Facebook, just saying like, hey, this happened with my relationship a while ago, but like here's what's happening now. And I like just talk to them because it's just like if my music's or my art's like affecting it in any way, like I'd like to see how that's going, and that's interesting to me. I read every message, and I read every tweet that's sent to me, and I try to respond accordingly. It's really tough for me to do. I don't have the best. It's kind of like opening presents on Christmas, like seeing like someone like, you ever like give someone a present on Christmas and like you kind of like feel weird while they're opening? It's like,
yeah.
Like, it's weird. And like, not that I'm giving them, what I'm saying is that they're giving me the present, and it's weird for me to like react to that. I'm always really bad at receiving gifts on Christmas and my birthday and shit like that. So it's if I ever come off as this girl approached me on the train the other day. I started taking the train to work. A girl approached me on the train. She's like, I saw your show the other night. I just wanted to let you know you're like, you guys like are insane. Like I looked you up on Spotify. You're my favorite band right now. And I felt like I was like rude to her because I didn't know how to respond to her in front of like all these people that were hearing her.
Oh my! I probably would have been so anxious by that.
Sweating. I was like, I had already been in a long sleeve shirt, and I was like, shit, it's already hot out. And like I start like sweating. I'm like, thanks a lot. And I like put my headphones back and I started looking down. I felt so bad after. I was like, I should have like said like, hey, how you doing? Like it's nice to meet you. Like if you're coming to a show again, like just like come say hi and like let's speak at another time. But like I was fucking rude to this girl.
Social anxiety sucks.
Truly,
man.
no,
it's
and
the
I didn't
worst.
realize it until this band that I had terrible social anxiety. It was weird, but that things like that happen, and I'm so appreciative of them. But it's a lot, and it's tough for me to grasp onto because I have such self-worth issues, and it's really tough. But it's very welcome.
So, please help me. I was waiting anxiously for Please Help Me to be released, and from when it was released to probably, like sometime in the winter of 2007, I started to then listen to some other stuff more incessantly. I go in 2017. I'm sorry. I'm very, when I find music that I love, I like just listen to it like a lunatic. So
yeah, sure.
Please Help Me, when it was released, I listened to it nonstop for almost the entirety of 2017 after it was released.
Yeah, in the same way, if I hear like a song that I like, I will put it on repeat, and my fucking partner gets so upset with me because it's just like the same song over and over and over again. And like at work, I'll like just listen to the same song because I like what I like, and that's what probably is that. Do you feel like that prevents you from like getting into like newer music or getting into like music that people like want you to get into and stuff?
When I was younger, that was the case. When I was younger, I would only listen to like punk and hardcore. And then as I got older, I started to expand into other like Funeral Advantage. If I would have listened to a band like Funeral Advantage 10 years ago, there's no way I would have liked it. And now that's one thing that I'm actually happy about myself, is that I'm more open to different genres of music, and I feel like I listen to way more music now than I ever did.
Your palate changes.
Yeah, yeah.
It could just be like your. I've heard that like somewhere like your molecular structure over 7 years is completely different.
Yes, yes.
So like you're just different cells than you were. So you are literally a different person.
That's right. Yeah,
It scares me, and it comforts me to know that you and your wife have been together for, you said 7 or 8 years or 9 years. I can't
7 years. Yeah,
7 years. So you guys are still in love, and you guys are two different people on the molecular level. Even.
That's a good way to look at it.
It's
so
comforting.
Yeah, for me, I thought that EP was a home run from the first song to the last song. Just an awesome release. Did you feel that way when you released it?
Yeah, it was a very hard record to release, and I haven't exactly listened outside of playing the songs. We play 2 songs from it live in our live set right now. Outside of doing that, I don't listen to the record at all. It's really it's a tough listen for me. It was a really hard record to make and a really hard record to. There's just plenty of stuff online about how it was made and like the shit that I went through while I was making it, and it's hard to listen to now because like I find it was a different person that made it. I found it. I listened to it again today, just kind of in preparation for this, because you told me you wanted to talk about this record a lot. So I listened to it again today in the when I was driving, and I don't know. I feel like it's a great sounding record, and it's a very well written record. It's just that I can't relate to it as much anymore. I feel the songs. I feel like CEOT7K and We Lost Our Home. I feel those songs still, but I'm maybe not the same person I was when I wrote those songs. I had a very distinct attitude going on in my life when I wrote those songs. It was a very strange time in my life. The worst time in my life, actually. It was definitely probably the worst year of my entire life. I had like terrible luck when I was writing and recording that. I have bad luck in general. Like me and my girlfriend constantly joke about how we have like terrible luck, her and I. And so it's kind of weird that we like found each other and have terrible luck together. But that like I feel like I'm proud of it. I'm very proud of that record. I relate. I gave a lot of myself on that record. I gave a lot of myself to the record, and also like it's you can kind of hear a lot of me on that record at that time, and it's really tough to listen to. But I feel like it was like you said, a home run. I can agree with that. I can agree that's definitely it resonated with a lot of. It's strange that it resonated with a lot of people because it was so specific to me. There's specific moments on the album where I was like, why would I decide to write that in there? Why would I decide to put that line in there? That doesn't apply to anyone besides me in that particular moment. There's like lyrics in that album that are just like, wow, it's very specific to me. And to think that I would put that much of myself on a record is kind of scary. And I think that my new record that I just made is kind of like reactionary. Reactionary, is that a word? To that. Because like I put a lot less, but I was kind of a little bit more shielded with my brand new record. This one, you know how like stand-up comedians say this all the time. They say like it's weird, like you can make a movie and then a critic will be like, well, I don't like that movie, and they're just saying like, oh, maybe you can say to yourself, oh, maybe they just didn't like the art direction, they didn't like the lighting, they didn't like the direction of the photography. But when you're on stage and you're doing stand-up material and someone says they don't like that, what they're really saying is that they really don't like you as a person. So me giving so much of myself onto Please Help Me, I was kind of setting myself up for like, if someone was like, I don't really care for that record as much as Body Is Dead, I heard that as them being like, I don't like you. Like, I don't like you as a person. And I kind of agree with them. I agree with I don't like myself during that time. I didn't like myself. I was in a very bad place emotionally and just in life. I was just like my job was going really poorly. My relationship that I was in for like 6 years had just ended. I had to move out of my house, which I like helped build, but not build. Like I helped like build a home, make a home with this one person. I just had to leave. And I hear a lot of that on the record, and it just reminds me of a really painful time. So it's hard to listen to, but I agree that it's a well done record. And from an outsider's perspective, I could listen to that record and be like, I could listen to a lot of Shoo Shoo. You ever listen to the band Shoo Shoo? Yeah. Shoo Shoo, like he gives himself 100% on all of his records, and a lot of his lyrics are very specific to his life and his journey and his art specific to him. And I find myself not being able to relate, but I still like the music. I still like seeing art where people are burying themselves and burying their entirety of their souls on it. And I found like that's the best art. So maybe I was trying to replicate that with this. And it seems like it's a very cathartic effort for bands like Shushu and bands like Parenthetical Girls and listen to like emotional band. Like, what do you think? Like when you think of like art and like giving yourself to art, like what do you think of?
Planning for Burial is one that I look at. Have a Nice Life. The dude that does like Have a Nice Life, Giles Corey, Blackwing. I feel
devastating.
Yes,
he gives himself
right?
entirely to that project.
Dude, that album, like there are times where if I'm not in the best mental state, like I can't listen to that album.
I can't listen to more. Like my partner listens to Giles Corey all the time. She like listens to the entire album, and I'm like, how can you do this? Like, how are you strong enough? I can only listen to one. Maybe like I really only am very familiar with the first 3 songs of that record because I'll listen to like the first song, second song, and I'll be like, this is fucking exhausting. I can't listen to this.
Dude, that album is intense. I love it.
Same with
I absolutely love it.
Like it's rough to listen to. Like I was on my way to a party with my partner the other day. Not the other day, it was like 2 months ago. And she put on Have a Nice Life. And I was like, why would you do this on the way to a party? Why would you put this on? She's like, okay, sorry, I'll put on something more upbeat. She put on like she put on a Pale Wave song or something. And then she put on Shuffle. And then the Shuffle, the next song, jumped to what was it? Oh, it was Bright Eyes, not Landlocked Blues. Yeah, Landlocked Blues, like just like something terrifyingly sad again. I was like, why is this on your, like, how do you listen to this? Like I listen to it, I can hear it and I can understand the beauty in it. And I really relate to that art, but I can't do it. I can't fucking listen to that stuff. I can't listen to it. I can listen to, like Planning for Bear is also just like very, like just fucking miserable. And he like gives himself and it's like, I appreciate it, but I can't listen to it. It's too tough. It's too tough and too relatable.
There are times where I have to avoid that stuff. So like Midwife is I don't know if you've ever heard Midwife before.
I've heard of them. I've never heard them though.
So what is her name? Madeline Johnston, I think is her name. She's, it's her project. She's also has gone under the name Sister Grotto. Yeah. And she released an album last year and that's another one, man. Like I listened to it recently, actually. It was within the last week or so. I was making dinner. I was listening to it and Danielle came home. She's like, why are you listening to this depressing music? And I love that album. And I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I wanted to listen to it again. I hadn't listened to it in a while. And I was one song and I'm just like, I can't do this right now. This album just fucks me up too much. I gotta stop.
Do you feel that way with like other art, like movies and stuff like that? Like you can watch a movie once and just never watch it again because like.
Not so much. Music gets me much more on a deeper level than movies do. Yeah. Movies can definitely hit me, but music, when I find music that I enjoy, I like latch onto it and I like sink my damn fangs into it.
Yeah,
so
you analyze it a lot.
Yeah. So Please Help Me. That's kind of what happened with me in that EP. But it's funny because I listen to it so much, and like I said, it's a very emotional album. There's a lot of melancholy to it. But I think because I actually been preparing for this interview and have been listening to Funeral Advantage pretty much the entire time that I've been preparing for this interview.
Yeah.
And I think because of the fact that it's more of a dream pop project that it doesn't get to me the way something like Midwife does, because
interesting,
like Midwife is just it's so slow and it's just like I don't even know how you would describe it, like slowcore. It's just, oh my God, it's so gloomy.
Yeah.
And
so you feel like my music is just framed in a way that's like, it's like the music. Maybe I did that. Interesting. Cause I never thought about maybe doing that, like consciously doing that. Maybe I thought that like maybe, in the back of my mind, like maybe this will be more palatable if it had like happy music behind it. This lyrics are helping.
But like for instance, the title track, Please Help Me, I'll listen to that and the lyrics, I'll be singing along. I'm just like, oh my God, dude, fuck. These lyrics are getting me.
Yeah. Just
because of how heavy they are.
Yeah. There's a lyric in that song, like I think it's like the saddest. And I don't know, I didn't know if it's just like very specific to me because I have a very specific imagery of like, of this one. There's one lyric that's just like, that says like the realtor showing the house.
Literally was just thinking that.
Yeah,
that's
right?
like, dude, that's whenever I hear that song, it always fucks me up. I'm just thinking like, cause it makes me think of like divorce.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like, oh my God, imagine
it's like
if
very specific to like divorce,
yeah.
or like just like getting away from, like, or not even getting away, just like that was that was just framed from like me. That was I don't cry very often. I'm not actually I'm kind of an emotional person, but like I kind of don't show it very often. And I was at work, and like I got the text. Like it had just been like it had been a long time coming, because like it had taken a while. Like it's kind of like I forget who said it. Oh, it's Jerry Seinfeld said this actually in Seinfeld, where like any relationship isn't like not like ripping a band.
The goddamn like, soda machine. One of my favorite. That's one of my favorite episodes in Seinfeld. Yeah. That's the hello episode.
It's the line for anyone that doesn't know. It's like tipping over a vending machine. You can't just push it over. You got to rock it a couple times before it goes over. So like it had been that with my relationship with that person. It had been like it had been rocking back and forth for like a year or something like that. It's just been like it hadn't really connected. And then like I got the text from a realtor, like with me and my partner, and the realtor was like, hey, is it okay if I come by and show the apartment? And like I was at my desk at work and was talking to a client on the phone, and I just hung up and I started fucking weeping at my desk like really hard. And I don't know, that part I ran to the bathroom and I started like really just crying really hard. And I don't ever show that much emotion ever. I'm kind of like a stone wall, which is like a source of contention between me and like anyone I have a relationship with, because like they'll get like really mad at me and I won't show anything. I'll kind of just be like dead faced there because I'm kind of processing everything, and they'll want me to fight, fight back. You need to like be here with me, be present, fight back with me, show your emotions. And I can't do that. I'm just like I can't do that. Which is also like, I hate to keep like quoting myself, but there's like our song called Back to Sleep. The first song I ever wrote for Funeral Vendors called Back to Sleep, and it's on our first album. That song's just about how my then girlfriend would want to fight with me, and my body just wants to like, she would want to stay up all night and like fight with me, like I can't sleep, you need to talk this out with me, and my body just wants to go to sleep. I want to go back to sleep about this. But I forgot your question. I'm sorry, I went off right there. But no, okay. it is framed like it is kind of framed in this sort of like dream poppy, like more of a palatable way. I feel like my music's framed in that way, so it's maybe easier to take, maybe easier to write as well, maybe easier to kind of get these terrifyingly sad lyrics out that are about my life. Maybe I can frame them with something behind it, like it's kind of like a clown standing behind a murder scene or something like that. Not a clown, but like, because people are terrified of clowns, but it's like yeah, it's like someone dressed in a clown outfit. I don't fucking know. I'm trying to make a really weird analogy right now, but it's not working out for me. I'm sorry.
So since you feel that you can be kind of like closed off as far as like showing emotion, do you think that you can allow yourself to express emotion or thoughts that you normally wouldn't in your music?
Absolutely, yeah. Like I wouldn't I think it was Freud. I can't remember if it was Freud that said it, but Freud, I think someone said that the Irish are impervious to therapy. So like I'm 100% Irish, and I just relate to that. Like I feel like after I tried seeing like a therapist after my relationship ended, because I was in a really bad place, and I was like, I think it was a danger to myself and people around me. So I like wanted to like see someone about it, and it didn't help at all. It didn't help me talking about these things. I couldn't relate to whatever they were saying. Like, oh, like, well, tell me about this. And I would just like state the facts. I'd state the facts of what was happening. Like, my relationship's ending. I moved out the other day. I'm in a really shitty apartment right now. And I have really bad luck. Like I had like just really hard time relating that to someone talking. And everyone always asks like, oh, is this like, is Funeral Vendors like a catharsis for you? Is it something that you can is it something you can lean back on to be emotionally available? And I always said no. I'm always like, no, there's no catharsis needed for like, my life is pretty relatively good. I'm like, it's like white people problems, like it's kind of like my life is like incredible compared to like a lot of other people's. Like I live in a really nice apartment. I lived in a really nice apartment. I was going through a bad relationship, but like who cares? Fucking everyone goes through that. So maybe in my mind, I had a hard time relating to that. As a hard time, maybe that also has to go back to my self-worth issues. But like I had a hard time relating that to someone speaking to a shrink or whatever. But I have a really easy time expressing that through my art, and maybe that's the one way it is a cathartic method to do that. I think that could be what it is. I think.
To go back to Please Help Me, I absolutely love CEOT7K. What the hell does that mean?
So it's funny. You're the only person that's asked me that.
Really?
Yeah, you're not the only person, but you're the only person that's interviewing me that's asked me that. And Not that I've wanted to. I don't really care. It wasn't a secret, whatever. It was way easier to abbreviate it. It stands for Close Encounters of the Seventh Kind, which was a Tumblr blog, which I ran for. I don't know if you know anything about aliens or like close encounters and stuff like that, but I think there's 8 kinds. There's that famous movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which means just making contact with an alien. And there's others that are in between. And the 7th kind is when an alien comes down and has sex with you, and for the purpose of creating an alien-human hybrid. So that was a blog I ran for a while called ceot7k.tumblr.com, where it was an exploration of like the worst parts of people, like I was saying earlier, like how funeral managers like related to being like the worst parts of humanity. So it was like a lot of like paranormal and gore and just like weird, what is it, like just aliens and ghosts and stuff like that, stuff that I found interesting. And me and my friend also had a band called Horseface Girl for a little bit, just an electronic version of Funeral Vantage. A lot of those songs actually ended up on the Funeral Vantage demo, but it's just electronic versions of them. And one of our records was called CEOT7K, but no one ever heard it, so I just decided to repurpose it for this, and he said it was okay with it. So, and I haven't spoken to him for years, but I hope he's well if he hears this.
And how does that relate to the lyrics behind that song?
So that song is basically, it's sort of the outlier in that record, in that like it's I wanted to palate cleanse. It's kind of by design. I wanted to palate cleanse because Please Help Me was such like a heavy song, and then like I was like, the rest of the songs are also kind of like fucking exhaustingly heavy on that record, to me at least, to listen to. That's the one song on the record that doesn't really have to do with that point in my life. Well, it has to do with my mindset, but just not with the relationship that I'd just gotten out of. It's just sort of about my losing faith in humanity and not wanting to feel like I had to be a good person any longer, because the reason that the relationship ended was because I was a really terrible person. I had done a lot of really shitty things to this one person, and the relationship had to end because of that. And I was sort of just sinking into that. I was just like, maybe I'm just a shitty person. Maybe what I made this band to showcase is something that's shining in me, is something that's shining through in me. And which kind of relates to there's a song called Shining on the record as well, which means that like I was like, the worst parts in humanity are shining out through me, but also that's relating back from the song CEOT7K relating to the rest of the record. It's a weird sort of mishmash, incestuous relationship it has with that rest of the record. But going back to what you asked, CEOT7K is just more about just like me not trying to be a good person anymore. Like there's like the lyric that runs through it that's like, this world gave me nothing, so I'll give nothing back. Like I felt at that point that life was just taking a shit on me. Like life was shitting on my life. God was shitting on my life. And I'm like, I'm sort of a religious person. Like I believe in God like really hard, and I know that that something exists like that. And I felt like I felt like I had done a lot of really wrong to this one person. I'd done like a lot of really shitty things, and I felt like deservedly I had been given the short end of the stick, or the short straw in the group of straws that I was supposed to pick out. And maybe I would just sink into this and be a shitty person for the rest of my life. Maybe like this world, I felt like the world gave me nothing, so I'm not going to even try anymore. I'm just going to. So I had a little while there where for a couple months I was just like doing really shitty things still. Like I moved out of my house, and I was just like in a shit apartment in Lower Allston. It had no door on it. The apartment had no door, and I was just like.
So what was used as a door?
So it was a shower curtain for a door.
Oh my god!
I hope the people that I live with they're not really my friends, so I didn't listen. I hope they're not going to be listening. They're definitely not going to be. But it was weird. Like my luck has just been terrible. I was moving into this apartment, and like I just felt like I was at the lowest point, and like I felt like my life was just gonna go nowhere. I felt like my life was over. But instead of like wanting to end it all or something like that, because I don't really think that way. I don't really think about like those kind of things. I don't think of that as an option ever. I just would sink into it. I would sink into being a shitty person, and just like I realized since then when I recorded that song after the record came out, I realized that's not really the way to live. But during that time when I wrote it, I was just thinking about I'm going to be a shitty person for the rest of my life and just kind of like be bad, be bad.
When I first heard that song, I couldn't really decipher a lot of the lyrics except for and I'm sorry if I'm saying it, but this world gave me nothing, so I gave nothing back. Yeah. And I remember being like, holy shit, that definitely hit me when I heard that for the first time.
Yeah.
And I feel like it makes that song very impactful because of because of that?
Yeah, it's a mission statement, and it's repeated twice in the song. It's just a mission statement that I'm trying to repeat and like get to the. It's like every song kind of has a tagline. I feel every song has like that one line that you need to kind of sum it up and make a mission statement. The rest of the song should serve that, I feel. And it was interesting writing that record. This is the first record where I was like, what are you trying to say? Like, what are you like? 'Cause the Body Is Dead, like, if you listen to the songs, like they're about like nothing. Like they're not really. There's a couple songs that are about something, but mostly they're about nothing. But this one, I was like, what are you trying to say with this record? Like, there's two rules that I try to go by. I had this on my wall because Johnny Pierce of the drum. I like the drums are my favorite band of all time. Well, besides The Cure, and it goes The Cure, the drums, and I think Bjork. But Johnny Pierce, I read one time on his wall when he was making Portamento, the second drums album that he had written on his wall. Is your chorus big enough? And then what are you trying to say? And I try to live by those rules for Please Help Me. I was like, those are fucking good rules to live by for writing songs. What are you trying to say? Like, what's your mission statement? What are you trying to do with the song? And also, is your chorus big enough? Is this going to relate to people? Is this going to like, is your song big enough? Does it have a catchy enough hook, you know?
Mm-hmm. And so you had mentioned that you've even though you can't really listen to it too much, that you are proud of Please Help Me. What about Body Is Dead?
I'm very proud of Body Is Dead. I love Body Is Dead. That's my favorite of the two records that I've made. But I'm proud of it in a different way. I'm proud of just like the way it came together. Like I had never recorded anything by myself. I never recorded like a good record by myself, and I kind of just like took a shot in the dark and was like recorded it all by myself in my bedroom in a really shitty way. I just recorded it to GarageBand, and then I brought it to a guy that I'd worked with on a couple of hardcore records before. And I was like, what can you do with this? Can you like try like helping me mix it? Because I want it to sound professional. And it sounds like a fucking studio recorded album. It sounds really, in my opinion, relative to how it was recorded. If you could see the recording setup, you would just laugh. If you listen to the record and saw the recording setup, you would just fucking laugh. You would laugh at how terrible the recording setup was.
So what was the recording setup? So
just me in my room. I lived with Andrew back then too. My roommate Andrew, and I lived with there was 5 other people living in that apartment. Just a shitty. I don't know if you've ever hung out in Allston ever, but like Allston is just like the party, like it's a college town, so like there's like really shitty apartments for like really expensive, a lot of money. So the best way to save money is to live with thousands of your friends in the same apartment. So it was a nice apartment. Well, it would have been a nice apartment, but we were just like kids. There was 6 of us. It was Spencer, Mike, Spencer's girlfriend, my girlfriend, me, Andrew Capone, my friend Corey, and this new guy Jared. So it was like 8 people at once living there at one point, like 8 people. And so it was kind of hard to get quiet time. Like it's hard enough like being quiet here, and we're in my apartment alone by ourselves. It's hard enough being quiet here, but like picture like having like 8 people just like running around the apartment, just like slamming doors, and just like it's a mess. And like my room was just like, it's just me and my girlfriend living in a single room, and we I don't know, it was just like, it was a messy room. We had a cat that only lived in our room, so it was just like really bad recording stuff. And then like the recording stuff was just like, I'd saved up, which is like an SM57 is like, it's like about as expensive as this mixer we're holding. It's like not that much money. It's like maybe $100. I had to save up for like, I was like poor. I was working at a real frozen yogurt place. So I was just like saving up for months to afford this one mic. And I recorded every single instrument with that one mic and like just a GarageBand. And then I brought it to this like guy who had mixed a couple of records, and it sounds like a fucking incredible record. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm proud of the record. I'm proud of the way it came out. And it's a great sounding record. That formed our fan base. That record is like our bread and butter. Like people, that's our number 1 record, I think.
Yeah, that record, that's a great record. And as I mentioned to you earlier, how I first discovered Funeral Advantage was through freaking Bridge 9.
9, baby.
And I believe it was Garden Song that someone shared. And man, I still love that song. It's such a great song.
That's a great song. I like that
and
song. I say it of my own song.
I didn't know that a video was released for that song until maybe the last week or two in preparing for this, and seeing that it is just home footage of you and your friend.
That's right.
Skateboarding.
Yes.
And I noticed some fingerboards, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that I still play with fingerboards.
I tech at work all the time.
Yeah, I do it all the time at work too.
It's relaxing.
Does the footage relate to the lyrics at all?
Not at all, actually. No, it's no. That song was written. it's weird because I said earlier that like none of those songs really are about anything. Like the song was just written as like an amalgamation of just like the girlfriends that I had like in the past, basically. Like there's like really not like, it's like a line here or there from like one relating to like a certain relationship I had, and like another line relating to another relationship, and like it's a mishmash of a song. Like I love that song. It's a great song. The lyrics are just like an amalgamation, but that video has nothing to do with the lyrics of that song. That video is more just like I was cleaning out that same apartment. Actually, I was leaving. I was moving into a studio with my partner, and I found all these tapes, these old tapes that I had from this like old VHS recorder that I had. So I got those digitized. I had digital copies made of them, and I just like kind of put it together and like as like a joke. It was like almost like a joke. Like I like put it together. I was like, oh yeah, and I was like, here's the music video for Garden Song. I sent it to the label owner for the label that I was on. And he was like, this is actually fucking incredibly relatable because like everyone skateboards. Everyone had a friend that skateboarded. Everyone like this is like really relatable. Dude, I think you should release this. And I was like, I guess so. Maybe I will. And that's like, I'm proud of that video. I love that video. And like the kid that was in that video with me, he was my best friend from when I was like 10 years old till I was like 20 years old. Like we did every single thing together, and we sort of like grew apart. And that was like my way of like sort of like reaching out to him, because we have nothing to talk about anymore. Like this guy and I like haven't really spoken, and we hadn't spoken in like 7 years or something like that. And it's my way of like reaching out to him, I think. But I could have just like either edited the skate video, because we always said like we wanted to make a skate video. That was like our dream growing up. I want to be a professional skateboarder really bad. I'm still really good at skateboarding, by the way.
I wish I was, but I'm not.
Did you ever skateboard when you were
I
a kid?
did, and it's funny, when I was watching that video, I was thinking. So I grew up. I played baseball, and then I eventually started skateboarding. And when I was watching that video for Garden Song, I was like, this is exactly what my friends and I did. And I felt like everyone around that time probably did the same thing at that age, right? Because for me, that when I was skateboarding, CKY was coming out and Jackass was on MTV, and we were trying to emulate that, exactly what they were doing. Absolutely. And we would record ourselves doing stupid ass things and then putting in different skate tricks. And that was I wanted to be a professional skateboarder as well. Everyone
did. I mean, like there's even parts in that video where it was on like a VHS recorder. Like we would like jump into this we knew this family was like going out of I think the statute of limitations has been lifted on this, so I can talk about it. We knew this family was going out of town, so we just like decided to just like destroy their bushes by jumping in, because that was like a Jackass thing and a CKY thing to do. And later on, that week, some kid had told on us, because like they came back to their bushes just being destroyed, and the police got involved, and they like wanted to like sue my parents because there was what a dumb idea. There was literal video evidence of me jumping into these bushes, and they're like, we heard there's a video of it, let's see it. And we like showed it to them, and they like wanted to sue my parents about it. Like, and my parents were super angry with me about it, and like but they've gotten over it since. That was like 20 years ago, so they've gotten over it. But yeah, that's like what we wanted to do. We wanted to be professional skateboarders, and yeah, that was my way of just reaching out to that guy who I skateboarded with back in the day. And he saw it, and he liked the video, and we had a friendly chat about it, but that was really it. We have nothing really to talk about, he and I.
Yeah. And I also, I've read that since, and I know you said that you've been working on another album, but I read too that some other stuff that you've worked on has been more like sparse and like almost like black metal type of music that you've written, and that you've talked about potentially recording some like metal stuff.
Yeah, so like I was kind of talking about this earlier, how like I kind of related from a young age to like black metal, and how like simple and like they're like doing like bare bones like recording stuff kind of like I do. So I find that music to be like very relatable to my music. So like, and it's just like it's all about atmosphere, and I feel like my music's all about atmosphere as well. Like I find listening to it on the surface level, you wouldn't really find anything relatable between the two, but I find that they're like very similar. Dream pop, shoegaze, and black metal are I feel like Def having kind of like or the band that like try to like or is making like a what is it? Kind
of like a bridge between the two, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're like bridging the gap between those things, but because I feel like they might feel the same way about it as I do. But yeah, like I've recorded a couple of black metal songs, and like have thought about just like releasing an EP as funeral band, because like there's times where just like your art, like you want to do what's in your heart and stuff. And I had like a couple of black metal songs recorded that I wanted to just like release, or like do like a noise album, or like just a hard, just like we were gonna. I took a lot of. I have like a sort of like a noise like EP that I want to release as Funeral Band, and I was gonna like do like a companion piece to this new album that I had. I wanted to just like release like an EP like first. I'd just be like, here's my new EP, and then like have like it'd be just a noise project. I was like, what the fuck is this? And like 3 days later, I'll release like the actual album, which is like a collection of like 10 dream pop songs that I've been making for a long time. But not a long time, like last year. But that idea kind of got scrapped because like it wouldn't really go along with the trajectory of what I want for this band. But I got like inspired by like Code Orange, you know that band Code Orange? Mm-hmm. They released a companion piece like to their full length album. That was not that I never told that idea to anyone. That was an idea like a year and a half ago. I never told anyone that idea. Then I found out that Code Orange also did that, and I was like, oh, that actually makes sense that they would do that because they're bordering on like industrial, like sort of like Nine Inch Nails ish, Godflesh kind of stuff now. So it makes sense for them to do it. It would not make sense for me to do that, or especially to do like a black metal thing. I don't think it would make sense. But I think then again, like I think it would be cool. I think it would be jarring and interesting, and like it would definitely lose me a lot of fans. But I mean, maybe if those fans aren't going to be with me for it anyway, why wouldn't I just do it, you know?
I think that'd be awesome. I think you should do something like that because that'd be really cool, especially if it's some black metal stuff. I would be all about that.
I'll think about it. Have you ever heard of the black metal band Mirkur? It's like, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's this woman.
I don't think so.
It's this woman. She was in this band. She's in this Captured Tracks band for a while called Minx. I'm a huge fan of Minx. Like when I first released the demo, I actually reached out I retweeted all these bands. I like constantly tweeted like Wild Nothing and Beach Balls and stuff like that. And I tweeted at Minx one time. I was like, you should let me open up your album release, whatever. And he I think he was probably the only person that like listened to it, and like he dug it super. Like he like emailed me. He's like, this is fucking great. Like I would definitely have you out to open the show if we hadn't booked everyone. Like we remained friends since then. The guy from Minx and I, like we're kind of like we're email buddies or whatever. But he was in this band with this woman, and Minx dissolved. He dissolved that project, and she was in this band called, I think, something Cops. I can't remember what it was. Oh, I'm blanking on the name, but I know that Billy Corgan produced her album. But she did that, and I don't think that went anywhere. And then she started this black metal band called Mirkur or Miker. I can't remember. I don't know how to pronounce it. But they like are giant in the black metal community. They're like opening for. I think they've opened for Death Heaven. They opened for Behemoth, and they opened for like. They're like really big. They like I saw them at the Royal, and I was like, that's the same. And I didn't realize it was her. And I was like, that's the same woman from Minx, I think. And I looked it up, and it's the exact same person. Very weird. And it was like a very weird thing, but like she went from like being like a dream pop artist to like doing black metal. So I feel like maybe there's more than one person, more than me. It's not just me who finds the connection between the two, in my opinion.
I definitely think that because a lot of what I listen to is metal stuff, drone, like post rock, and then dream pop and like shoegaze stuff. And I see that there's definitely a connection between a lot of those genres of music, layering stuff and kind of like spacing things out. So I definitely
is the biggest part.
Yeah.
Like creating like a space that like you know what the music. Well, you think you know what the music's about before you even hear it. Like you're just like, wow, this is like atmosphere. They're gonna talk about some dreamy stuff right now, you know?
Yeah. So any because I saw something where you were playing Metal Gear Solid, being interviewed. So any games that you have currently been playing, or any games that you're really into?
Me and my roommate have been playing Fortnite a lot. He's a lot better. He's a lot better at it than I am. My girlfriend and I have been going through the VR missions of Metal Gear Solid for a little bit. We beat all of Metal Gear Solid 1's VR missions just on the couch one night when it was raining out. And now we're going through the actual, we bought on eBay just Metal Gear Solid VR missions. It's like a game that was released. It's a very small game that was released, but it just has like hundreds and hundreds of VR missions. We've been going through that, her and I. And also me and her working through beating Left 4 Dead. Then we're going to play Left 4 Dead 2. Because it's just like old stuff. Like we're not like playing any like newer games, or at least I haven't been. I just beat Halo 3 again. Oh
my God, I love that game. That's like one of my all-time favorite games, man. So good.
That one's amazing.
So good.
I love it. Yeah, I just beat that. I beat Metal Gear 5. I'm also working through the campaign of Grand Theft Auto 5 again, but I had to uninstall that because I don't have a big enough hard drive for everything, because I had to install Left 4 Dead. But so right now it's Left 4 Dead, Metal Gear VR missions, and a little bit of the orange box, and also Fortnite.
My brother has been trying to get me to play Fortnite for a while now.
So addictive. It's ridiculous.
So I'm a humongous Star Wars nerd, so I play Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I feel like if I jump ship to another game, that's going to detract from playing Star Wars. So I like, even though there's so many different games that I want to play.
Game, or is that
it is
Xbox?
So it's that's KOTOR. So that was on. Was it Xbox originally?
I think it was the original Xbox.
Yeah, which is actually, you can get it on your phone now, and that's how I played it, and that game is incredible. But Star Wars: The Old Republic is a PC game, so I play it on my computer.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, KOTOR. So that game is incredible. I haven't played the second one because
that was the first Xbox game I ever played. Was KOTOR? I think it was KOTOR 2 actually that I played for.
And I haven't played the second one.
I've heard it's good. I couldn't get into it because I was taking a hard stance against RPGs at that point. But I did like what I played, but I didn't finish it.
Yeah. So where can people after today listen to your music and check out your band?
I used to be not against Spotify, but I used to like not understand Spotify because I didn't have it. And then recent relative to like the last year, I got Spotify. So I would recommend listening to it on Spotify because it's just so fucking easy to find us on Spotify.
Spotify is the best, I have to say.
On Spotify. Bandcamp as well if you wanted to buy stuff because our records are for sale on there. And like some SoundCloud, Apple Music as well. I don't have Apple Music, so I'm not sure how to find us on there. I'm sure you just search us. What else? You can come to a show of ours. You can check out funab.org for upcoming tour dates and our upcoming shows that are mostly in Massachusetts right now, but there might be a tour in the works after the album. It really depends, but just working on the album, so we're not playing that much right now. We're just working on the album.
And any insight as far as to when we can expect an album?
So I was saying you'll at least get at least one new song and music video by September. You'll at least have one music video and one single from the album. It might not be an album. We're not sure what it is yet because we made the album and then we're not sure what to do with it yet. And we're kind of just sitting on it and playing songs live, just trying out what songs work better live. We've been playing a couple new songs in the live set and they've been working out really well. And we did a music video for the one that works really fucking good. And I'm really excited about it. My partner filmed and directed and edited the entire thing. It's really, really good. And we're just working on... So I'm thinking at least one song by August, September, and then the rest of the songs. I'm not sure if we're going to do it one by one or release an EP of them or release 2 at a time. It's really hard to know what we're going to do right now, but it really depends on what if we're going to do it with a label, if we're not going to do it with a label, if they want to do it a certain way. It's not, a lot of people say like, oh, it's not up to me. It's not, it's just I forget who it was. I think it was either John Hamm. I'm not sure why I'm getting the two confused. John Hamm or Chris Pratt that was talking about. Like everyone's like, oh, when's the next movie coming out? And he's like, I have no control over that. I have no idea when the next one's coming out. All I know is when I'm filming and when I'm done filming the next one. So it's kind of like that. I don't know. I don't know when the next album's coming out. I'm not sure if it's even going to be an album. I might even just like release. We currently have 12 songs recorded. I might just release one at a time for an entire year, or like do what Pale Waves does. You ever hear of Pale Waves?
No.
Incredible band on Dirty Hit, which is the record label that 1975 started. You ever heard 1975?
Yes, and I saw that they are releasing 2 albums in the next like 12 months, which is crazy.
It's so ambitious, but
yeah,
I'm not sure if I might like just take that route and just kind of and it wasn't because of them. Like I had thought of that idea, just like maybe I'll just record like just this what I was saying is that that band Pale Waves, they're like a lot of people call them like descendants of 1975. Like their drum sound, their guitar sounds are pretty much similar to old 1975. They release just like one song every couple of months, and they recorded an album. They're gonna release the album soon. But like I might just do like that method and just like release what we have. We have 12 songs recorded. Maybe I'll just like release the best ones that I think that are best and just like see what a label wants to do. Or maybe I'll just, I don't know, maybe I'll just self-release something. I think we're just going to self-release the music video, see how that works, and just see where we take it from there. So I guess ask me in a couple months, maybe I'll know.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. This was great. I had a really good time sitting down with you.
Did we go long? How long did we go?
About an hour and 20. It's not bad. Yeah.
Change, baby.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, man.
Anytime.
Appreciate it. And there you have it, you jabronis. That was my conversation with Tyler Kershaw. That was really fun. I'm so excited that I got to sit down with Tyler. That was a really good conversation that we had. And I think it's funny that Tyler and I both play with fingerboards still. I am a goddamn nerd. I've been playing with fingerboards since I was in middle school. I think that's when they first came out. It was probably in like 6th grade when they first came out, and I've been playing with them ever since. I have a fingerboard at my desk at work. I have a fingerboard at my desk at home, and I have a fingerboard that I keep on my TV tray so that I can play with one when I eat and watch TV. I have really bad ADHD, so it totally helps me focus, and I won't lie, I do enjoy playing with fingerboards. Again, guys, I'm a nerd. I can't help it. I will make sure to add links in the show notes so that you could check out Funeral Advantage, so that you can cop some merch of theirs. If you've yet to listen to Funeral Advantage, damn, man, you got to get on top of that. They are really great band, and I do not think you will be disappointed. So make sure to check that out. Make sure to follow Create and Destroy on social media. You could follow the show on Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, all at Create and Destroy Podcast, as well as on Twitter at CreateDestroy_. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, get out there, create something cool. I will see you next time.